Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. Let's kickstart today. A beautiful day it is, the second in the day of September 2025. We kick off today with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom, two distinguished guests. We have Adara Moye, Michael Lennon, National Coordinator Youth Right Campaign, who's joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Mr. Lennon. To you, Mr. Lennon. All right, I equally have Emeka Madunagu, a journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have. Good morning, Emeka.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time, both. I'd love us to start with the Punch newspaper this morning. And we have the big story, terrorism trial. Federal government may seek a mass repatriation after Finland 6-year jail term. We have two writers to that particular story, and one says the government will take further action after judgment review. AGF ruling warning to extremist information minister. Emeka, I'd love us to take a part on this story. What's your take that finally Finland has done what it should do? What's your take on this?
Well, thank you very much. The ruling, excuse me, is a welcome development. Although, well, I noticed that a lot of Nigerians had reservations with the fact that the ruling didn't go as expected. People had expected, owing to the gravity of the allegations against Simon Ekpa, people had expected maybe something like life imprisonment, a tougher prison sentence, but, well, be that as it may, at least he is going to do time for his horrible activities, against Nigerians. I mean, because the way he, stirred up violence, extremism, terrorism, in this country, it led to loss of lives. People were just killed, for no reason. And then at the end of the day, the same fellow so heartlessly said he was a content creator. So killing people was content. I mean, inciting people to go and kill others was content. That's horrible. But you see, the other thing in it is this one, the sentence, excuse me, the sentence is not 6 years like has been widely reported. The terms run concurrently.
So what does that mean?
I think it's just about maybe 3 years or something. And he has spent 9 months already in custody. So he may just be out within maybe around 2 years or something. A prison term counts for about 9 months or so. So having spent 9 months already in custody, that has counted for 1 year. And the terms run concurrently. So maybe within 2 years or maybe under 2 years, he'll be out. But the lesson, and then the other thing is that, the other thing there is this. Finland also supports the PKK rebels of Turkey. Finland does not actually does not ordinarily criminalize dissent.
In their home country, that is. You mean in their home country?
Yes. Even in the EU, dissent is not criminalized. Because if you also look at the history of Finland, you know, you will see some form of, dissent in it. I won't go into that right now because of time. But
Yeah.
but what Simon Ekpa actually went into, if he was just within the realms of, maybe provoking public discourse,
Yeah.
dissent and all of that, Finland wouldn't really have done anything against him. That's why you saw it took them a long time. But by the time they were now confronted with evidence of things he had got involved in that directly instigated violence, that was when they now decided to act. I mean, he denied that, calling himself Prime Minister of Biafra government in exile. But the evidence was presented.
Yeah.
Then the statements he had made, the comments he had made, all of these things were presented, and other meetings, physical meetings, physical meetings he had with people who came from other countries, the meetings he had, physical meetings he had in some other countries, and the statements he made at those meetings. So those ones now showed, that yes, by his actions, by his utterances, he went beyond the ken of dissent, to instigating violence, terrorism, and extremism. And of course, the EU criminalizes that. So just to look at it, within, to contextualize issues. So I mean, what they have done is really welcome and is salutary. And we hope that other European countries and other in the Middle East, in Asia, will also deal with Nigerians, and not just Nigerians, with foreigners whose activities, whose utterances directly instigate. Okay, we're talking about Nigeria. Nigerians whose activities, whose actions, whose utterances directly instigate violence and extremism, killings in Nigeria. And it's not just about Simon Ekpa. Remember, some years ago, the United Arab Emirates jailed some Nigerians who were, accused of laundering funds for Boko Haram.
Yeah.
And then you note the international links of ISWAP. Then the other day now, this Al-Shabaab operating in Kenya, 5 men who were accused of being behind the killings, the killings of some people 5 years ago at St. Francis Catholic Church in Ondo Town, in Ondo State. They were said to belong to Al-Shabaab. So those international networks, I think the international community should help Nigeria to deal with those, foreign links, deal with their sources of financing, deal with their networks, deal with themselves wherever they are, And I think, and then if there are collaborators, when there are collaborators within Nigeria, make sure that such people are denied visas, make sure that such people are exposed, arrested and prosecuted. I think that will be those actions will greatly help in dealing with insecurity in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, that's beautiful. You said it's a welcome development. To some people it is, to others it might not be, especially those and many who are sympathetic to the cause of Simon Ekpa. Mr. Lennon, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Sorry, all right, beautiful. Yes, so I would love you to continue this discussion from the perspective of activism. What Simon Ekpa started was activism and wanting to bring forward a cause that he felt that was germane and important. Unfortunately, activism went into terrorism. You are an activist yourself. When is activism too much for the person who is in charge of it? Are you there, Lenin? Mr. Lenin, are you there? Okay, I think we're having a little bit of a glitch there because I wanted to ask him, as an activist himself, I just wanted to have his view on when is activism, getting beyond the boundary of activism, which has led the Simon Ekpa, to the despicable situation he's been in. Are you still there, Lenin? I think we are losing you right now. You're not audible enough.
I actually missed some part of your question. So
okay, but can you hear me now? We hardly can hear you too. Your other end is really breaking. Can you hear me very well now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lenin? Okay, I think we're still having a little bit of a glitch there. I don't know if you can hear me really. So my question basically is, can you hear me, Lenin? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. So while we try to bring back Michael Lenin, to the show, because it's very important that this question he gets to answer you. But Emeka, since you're still there, Michael Lenin, if you would recollect, is one of the members of the End Bad Governance forum or pact that were there to ensure that bad governance wasn't what should be practiced in Nigeria. He is an activist himself, and I wanted to ask him what he felt about when activism becomes too much and possibly transition into terrorism. I do not know what you think about that, Emeka.
Yeah, I think honestly, it would be unfair to Michael Lenin and genuine activists, genuine comrades, to group them together with a despicable character like Simon Ekpa. I will really plead for that distinction to be made. These are genuine compatriots, who organized the End Bad Governance protests. These were genuine, patriots. They wanted, bad governance to end. And of course, they went about it, as a decent, protests. Yes, which the, Constitution allows. All over the world, protests are allowed. But Simon Ekpa exploited a loophole, the loophole that arose when Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, when he was renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria in June 2021. So Simon Ekpa now went on, a disastrous voyage. So I wouldn't, of course, put such a criminal. The guy was just a criminal. I mean, look at his activities. The Nigerian government has unfairly appropriated to itself, the efforts that were made that resulted to Simon Ekpa's arrests, prosecution, and eventual conviction. Do you remember that there was a time the Finnish police authorities actually asked people to send in petitions, that they will, for them to look into, and then now take a decision on whether to arrest him. There was a time that happened.
Yeah,
it happened, and thousands of Nigerians responded to that petition because they provided an email. Thousands of Nigerians responded to that call. They sent in petitions, and it was on the basis of that that they now joined the request from the Nigerian government, together to begin prosecution. Remember, the Nigerian government was actually asking for his repatriation to Nigeria to face trial. And his lawyer said no, that he will be denied a fair hearing. So we have to make a distinction, in this thing, so that, we don't lose the true story, in the course of reacting emotionally. Simon Ekpa's issue, actually brings us to the point that, of sober reflection. Was he acting alone? Because there have been claims that some Nigerian politicians, some wealthy Nigerians were actually behind some of these activities. And that some of these activities were used to, further money laundering, trafficking in human organs, and some other heinous crimes. But these have been apparently swept under the carpet, in the euphoria that, he has been convicted. But I hope I hope it will become necessary to look into those other areas. Because these things, you saw some days ago, I think the UN gave the number of Nigerians missing, about 23,000 plus missing. So you can imagine, how did these people disappear? Where did they disappear to? 23,000 people? That's a huge number. Too many Nigerians are missing. How are they missing? Where are they? Have they fallen victim of human trafficking, of organ trafficking, of organ traffickers? Have they fallen victim to human traffickers? Or are they being held in conditions, in inhospitable conditions against their will, without trial? So these are things that should provoke continuous, discussions, so that we can have a decent society where the likes of Simon Ekpa will not find accommodation. Thank you.
Very, very true. It's very important that we distinct the difference and, of course, make it known, when people are dissent and campaigning for just cause, like we saw in South Africa with Nelson Mandela, who was there and acting and asking for a peaceful demonstration. Today, South Africa is doing well, is reaping from the dividends of what Nelson Mandela has brought on the table, rather than having it become violent and not so good. Lenin, are you there? I don't know if he's there. Are you there, Mr. Lenin? Okay, I think he is still not available for us. But Emeka, let's take a look at other matters still. Can you hear me? Your line is breaking. Seriously.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I just hope that
yes,
that this line will not break any longer. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think I can hear you now.
Okay, beautiful. So just before we move on to the next story, I had wanted your take on my question. If you didn't get it, I'd love to repeat it again. And the question is, when is activism too much of activism that it possibly transitions to what we see with Simon Ekpa?
Well, thank you very much. I heard the answer provided by Mr. Chukwemeka, and I think he made a correct and clear point, of which I would just have to reiterate. I think this is also very important. And I would like to, by coincidence, today, September 2nd, makes it a year that myself and about 9 other Nigerians were arraigned in court for charges of treason and terrorism. So, the question then becomes very important, for a kind of discussion like this, that is activism different from terrorism, or, put it, at what point do we draw the line between activism and terrorism? But I don't think there's any line, really, because the methods and programs and activities of activists or people who are social crusaders are very clear, unlike people who are, in a way, making rhetorics or even directly involved in terrorist activities, which is why, despite after a year, the government has not even been able to nail us with any evidence of being involved in any terrorist act. Unlike people like Akpan, where you can find evidences even in their rhetorics. But for us, despite those charges being levied against us, the government still could not even bring out even the slightest of any evidence against us. Also that clearly the right to dissent is clearly different from terrorism, and government should not try and in a way charge activists with I mean, in a way, or even give such label to activities, because in a way, it tends to undermine what terrorism really is. Because today, the government does any activist who has issue with the government, you tend to be charged with either treason, terrorism, mutiny, or whatever charges, which are very big offenses. If I don't just trivialize them because you have issues with activists and then you want to punish them, and then you tend to trivialize these terrible offenses like treason, like terrorism. So I think the line itself is clear. And Nigerians, not just activists, all of us, we all have the right to dissent. We all have the right to our own opinion, and we also have the right to peacefully assembly in protest or any other method to fight is peaceful, and which has been the method of many of us who are activists. So we are clearly, of course, different from people who engage in terrorist activities.
All right, beautiful. I am very equally so excited that with the new Cybercrime Act that has been amended and repurposed, I just hope that that will not be a conduit for the government to further exacerbate their holding down of dissent in one way or another in the form of treason and terrorism, most definitely. Lennon, I would still love to continue with you on this particular matter, but on another story this time around. Nigerian embassy is hit by unpaid rent, salary, and arrears. It's 3 years down the line. Very soon, President Bola Tinubu will be gone with the first term of his administration, and yet no country in the world where Nigeria has embassies do have ambassadors there. And right now, to worsen the situation, the embassy is available. The federal government can't pay rents and equally cannot pay salaries. Do you think President Bola Tinubu understands why diplomatic issues should be taken seriously?
Yes, I think, thank you very much. What we have here is a global embarrassment to the country. Because if you look at even many of the countries, the third world countries like Nigeria, I doubt if there's any country that is faced with this kind of situation. And in fact, that is not to say that once you have ambassadors in a way, it's automatically aid diplomatic relation between countries. No, it does not. But they are one of the things that you expect of a nation that is organized and has responsible leadership, at least to be able to, in a way, it reflects the nature of seriousness of the government in charge. Because in a way, our embassies in other countries are like our posts there. They're like people who represent us, who in a way which reflects what our nation is like in other countries. So because the first point of call, if you relate with Nigeria, or if you're a Nigerian in other countries and you have issue, your first point of call will be your embassy. Your first point of call will be to go to your embassy. So I mean, and this is a country where we have many Nigerians scattered almost in every part of the world, which I mean that unlike many other countries, we are in dear need of such facility and such personnel to be available. So that if you don't have that, it then means that many Nigerians will be faced with a lot of problems. I mean, the challenge in terms of sorting out their documents, in terms of even renewing some documents, and also in terms of even trying to access justice in a foreign land. Because just like I said, your first point of call anytime you have issue in a foreign country will be your embassy. Will be to go and lodge complaint in your embassy. So that if you don't have that in place, it shows that Nigerians who are in other countries are at risk. So that it is like like I said, it is a big embarrassment to our nation as a whole that for years, for more than a year, we do not have. Not just that we do not have ambassadors, is that even now become difficult or even possible to even pay the rent and find even the staff who are working there. I mean, I've not seen a situation as terrible as that for any nation before. I wish itself, in a way, brings us to everything we've been saying about this present government, because all of the things that ought to become necessities.
Are you still there?
Neglected.
Okay.
have on many occasions been neglected. Many things which ought to be necessities, which ought to be norms, have been neglected by the government, which shows clearly that everything we've said, even because if you look at the government, in the last 2 years, you see that it has been clearly a sorry state for many Nigerians who are even in Nigeria. But the problem has not really stopped with us who are even living in Nigeria. Even those who are outside now, like I said earlier, are now also at risk, because it meant that Nigerians will not have access to some basic things that they need. It makes it much more difficult, and it is also was about a week ago, increased the cost
The
of
passport, yeah.
visa. Passport rather, cost of passport. And then the argument was that it was just meant for Nigerians or so. But if you feel that Nigerians need to access other countries, and then they do not have the most basic thing which a country should have in a foreign country, which is an embassy, a land of its own, offices of its own, personnel of its own, and if you do not have it there, what then is the basis of the visa itself, the passport itself? What then is the basis? Because the passport is meant to be your access to other countries too. But if in those countries you do not even have your own ambassadors there, you don't have personnel who are working for your country there, what then is the essence of that? And also, we also need to question all of the foreign trips that the president has had in the recent period. Because aside President Bola, late President Bola, I think Tinubu will be one of the presidents who has traveled most. Although this is just his second year, so we don't know yet if he's going to travel more than late President Buhari. But he has went on different trips, even to countries where he was not invited, either for medical reasons or so. But he has almost traveled around the world. And the most basic thing for a country to have its own ambassadors and also a functioning embassy, we do not have that. I think it speaks volume of all of the atrocities of this administration and how far in a way drag the entire nation down.
Very, very true. Very, very true. It's so very important that we make all of these things known, because if the president has everything it takes to travel around the world, then the big question is, why is he equally not making such opportunity available for Nigerians, especially ensuring that embassies and consulates in different parts of the world are taken care of? Emeka, I'd love you to take a beat on that particular story, and maybe you might add this particular story as we wrap up for today. 600 million monthly diaspora remittances, proof of reform, good reform that is, and federal government is stating. President Bola Tinubu is doing an awesome job, is what they have stated, because Nigerians in diaspora are bringing in more money, $600 million every month. Emeka?
One of my friends this morning, we're having a discussion, and he said he has never seen a government like this one that fights its own policies. You are the same government saying that Nigerians living abroad should come back, that the country has improved. You are the same government saying that Nigerians should not relocate overseas, that the country is okay. You are the same government at the same time, on the other side, now saying that, that your reforms have brought in more money. You see, the way they enjoy giving mixed signals is really embarrassing. There is no reforms that have brought in money. Nigerians living abroad have been working, earning money and sending money. Of course, you know that 70% of the money sent to Nigeria is actually for welfare purposes. It's not basically because they believe in any Tinubu reforms or anything like that. People have been sending money from abroad. Anytime, at times when I traveled abroad now, over there, if there was a need to send money, home, I'll send money from there. So it's not, even though I didn't relocate, I was just on a trip. But if there was a need back home, I'll send money. So what are you celebrating? Which reforms are you celebrating? Are you celebrating that the employers of Nigerians, in jobs abroad have increased their salaries, or also because of Tinubu's reforms. What are they talking? There's no, since even before independence, Nigerians have been relocating abroad since the early parts of, a long time. Even as the early part of the 20th century. Yes, Nigerians have been looking abroad. If I think even in the 19th century, if we go back. So there is no big deal about your reforms concerning the money being repatriated. The point is this, like, the Labour Party presidential candidate in 2023, Mr. Peter Obi said something, which was very poignant. He said, look, a situation where 70 to 80% of the funds, Nigerians send home is spent on welfare. That if there is a favorable economic climate, back home, they can be encouraged to look beyond just welfare, to actually invest in vigorously in the economy, bringing in money to fund, to get treasury bills, bonds, and money market instruments that will go into the economy to fund commercial papers, to fund infrastructural projects, to even provide financing for private companies, to make it easy also for the foreign reserves, our foreign reserves, to rise more. This should be the talking points, not that people are sending money. They send money. Oh, I've not been able to pay. I've not paid my rent. Somebody send you money. I've not paid this. They send this. What? So what? The money, yes, it actually also contributes to the economy. Yes, but the fact of the matter is that you also need investment. Look at India. India last year, total diaspora remittance around the world was estimated to be around $905 billion. Out of it, India, I think, had about 40%. Because India uses its diaspora as a tool, as a major tool, as a strong tool for diplomatic engagements, for economic development. But here, what do? We'll see how we criminalize Nigerians abroad. And what are they doing? Those who are, accused of drug trafficking are from a particular region of the country. Is that how you market yourself to the world? Is that why you market yourself to the world? Look at the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. What are they really doing in terms of engaging the Nigerian diaspora to say, wait a minute, we have somebody like Bayo Onanuga, one of the richest, a very wealthy Nigerian. He was an honorary economic advisor to former President Obasanjo. He later became an economic advisor, to Donald Trump in his first term. So somebody like that, you can say, okay, how do we engage him? How do we engage him? In which area and which area? And there are many more like that. Look at Nigerian professionals all over the world. How can we rescue our weak health sector? How can we do, interventions? You should go beyond just collecting money as if you are, as if you are just a cashier, a teller in the bank. Just collect money, stamp, and no, there should be actual engagement, and that is the problem I have with this administration. They've not been able to rise to the level of engaging Nigerians. What they do is just propaganda, broadcasting lies, broadcasting hate speech. That is not what we need, for crying out loud. That's not what we need. How can embassies be owing money? This problem has been there since Obasanjo's time. I remember I did a report then. I was reporting newspapers then, I think 2005 or 2004, about this same issue of Nigerian embassies owing rent, owing money for parking fees. At the point, I think we were even thrown out of one of our embassy buildings also. So we still have that same problem. About 20 years later, it's a shame. It's a shame. At this point, look, I was writing something this morning, and I said, see what countries, developed countries do. They come to Nigeria, they take our crude, they go to their countries, they convert them into petroleum products and resell to us. Can't we do the same thing? We should rise beyond just, importation. Take these things that are imported, for instance, like textiles. We import bales of textiles from China. Why not turn these textiles into, different products and then sell to the world? We have fantastic designers in Nigeria and different other things that you can utilize, and you boost Nigeria's exports. Now, coming to the embassies, these embassies should actually be trading posts. We saw when Professor Bolaji Akiyemi was Minister of External Affairs, he talked about economic diplomacy. General Ike Nwachukwu, when he was Nigeria's Minister of External Affairs, he talked about economic diplomacy. That should be the basic thing, the basic, the fulcrum of Nigeria's, foreign policy. When former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Danjuma, T.Y. Danjuma, was given the assignment of redesigning Nigeria's foreign policy, I think by President Goodluck Jonathan, of course, he made fundamental recommendations. Let's turn our embassies to trading posts. After all, the British explorers, when they were coming to Nigeria and Africa, they were not coming here to come and just relax or maybe just have a come on vacation. No, they came here for trade, and that is what underpins international relations, international trade. You also be a participant. Stop this beggarly attitude of depending on aid, on grants. Look at international trade, robust international trade, so that you see these people will look. Because let me tell you, we import things from China where labor is more expensive than Nigeria. Labor in Nigeria is one of the cheapest in Africa. Because if you look at the CFA is ahead of the Naira right now. So that means labor costs in Nigeria are far cheaper than some African countries, than Europe, than China, than Japan. So why not encourage these people on the basis of labor, availability of cheaper labor, availability of raw materials, to come and invest in Nigeria, produce in Nigeria. 2 years ago, India set up a policy, make in India, not made in India, make in India. So they used it to attract investors to India. So say, okay, if you produce these things in India, we will give you, we will give you necessary incentives to export to the world. That is how serious nations play. But here we just relax, we'll just be touting reforms, and you cannot see any result. Go to like my brother has said, Lenin has said, you don't see seriousness in Nigerian embassies. Visit Nigerian embassies abroad. The same laid-back attitude you will see in offices, government offices in Nigeria. It's the same laid-back attitude you see over there. No wonder they are owing them salaries. Are they generating funds? Even people who want to change their passports, Nigerians who want to renew their passports abroad. Let them tell you the experiences. They even have to bribe. They even have to pay bribes to renew their passports. Why do you carry this despicable Nigerian mentality around the world? Are we not ashamed? When will we say enough is enough of a lot of these silly things that we engage in as Nigerians, and we think it's actually hurting us. This is hurting us. So let us rethink. These embassies should generate money. They should be trading posts. Yes, one of my friends was an ambassador of Nigeria to one Asian country, and of course, I was helping him to look through the magazines. His mission had a magazine. They were producing monthly. So at a point in time, I got involved in helping him to edit and all of those things. And I saw the way, how robust. I still have the copies, some copies of the monthly bulletins he was, issuing for them. He was visiting companies, marketing Nigeria, and all of that. But what happened? President Tinubu came in, we, record all of them, and now he's not been able to, appoint new ambassadors over 2 years. What are we doing? Micromanaging foreign policy. It will not help us. It's very sad. Thank you.
Very so sad and equally embarrassing, if you ask me. We do not know how far this would go. We would have thought, Nigerians would have imagined that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have been the best leader in Nigeria since independence, to have taken us out of all of this quagmire. But unfortunately, rather we have what Nigerians have referred to as a more debased situation. We do not know who will save us at this point. Internationally, locally, it's still the same story. Very sad reality it is. Just to let you know that both gentlemen, Lenin and Emeka, will be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Bayo Onanuga fires back at el-Rufai, says Tinubu achievement speaks for themselves. That in a bit is still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.